Good morning, students. Today we'll be starting off with the next subtopic, that is transportation. We need to study with respect to the transport system in plants as well as human beings. In this particular class, we will try to understand the transport system in human beings. In humans, transportation of oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and other substances to the tissues, carbon dioxide to the lungs, and waste products to the kidney is carried out by a well-defined circulatory system. Now, transportation of oxygen is very much required. Oxygen has to be transported to the cell where it is essential for the breakdown of food, and nutrients are required for the nourishment of the body. Hormones are chemical messenger that helps in the growth and development of the body, and carbon dioxide has to be taken to the lungs so that it can be eliminated, and waste products has to be taken to the kidney so that it can be expelled from the body. So all these things require transportation. So in human beings, we have a well-defined circulatory system. Now let's understand the various components of the circulatory system. It includes heart, blood vessels, blood, lymphatic vessels, lymph. Now we will start off with the first component of the circulatory system, that is blood. Blood is a connective tissue. An adult human has about 6 liters of blood. Now blood in turn has got the presence of plasma as well as it has got the presence of cellular components. Now plasma has got the presence in turn is made up of, it has got the presence of water, plasma protein. The plasma proteins are albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. Apart from that, you also find the presence of antibodies, salts, food, substances. Now, blood also includes cellular components apart from the plasma. What are the cellular components? RBCs. They are also known as erythrocytes. The shape is biconcave in nature. Concave means it is bent inwards. So we see that this particular shape of the RBC also exhibits or shows that this particular structure is bent inwards. It is enucleated. When RBC is formed, it is nucleated, means the nucleus was present. But once it matures, we see it becomes enucleated because to accommodate hemoglobin, we know hemoglobin is a pigment that helps in the transportation of oxygen. So to accommodate that, it becomes enucleated. WBC, or it is also known as leukocytes. It does not have a definite shape, but it is nucleated and it helps in the ingestion of foreign substances or pathogen. They are like the soldiers of the body. Platelets or thrombocytes, these are also enucleated. It looks like fragments or tiny pieces. These help in clotting of blood. Clotting of blood is essential because we cannot afford to have excessive loss of blood. If there is an excessive loss of blood, a person will die. It will lead to death. So to prevent excessive loss of blood, we have platelets or thrombocytes. Functions of blood: transport of oxygen, carbon dioxide, transportation of nutrients and excretory products to the kidney, regulation of body temperature, transport of hormones. These are the functions of blood. Now we will next move on to the structure of the heart and functioning of the heart. Now we will see where exactly is the heart located. The heart is present in the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity means the chest cavity. It is present above the diaphragm and in between the two lungs. Now, the heart is covered by a double layer structure known as pericardium. Now, in between the pericardium, you find the presence of pericardial fluid. Pericardial fluid. Now, what is the function of fluid? It prevents the friction between these two layers as well as acts like a shock absorber. Next, and also one more point, pericardial fluid keeps the surface moist. And presence of superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, these are the two blood vessels. And presence of there are 4 chambers present in human heart, that is right atria, left atria, right ventricle, left ventricle. And you have the presence of pulmonary artery, aorta, these are also blood vessels, pulmonary veins. So this is with respect to the structure of the heart. Now let's try to understand the functioning of the heart. Blood enters through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Deoxygenated blood, it will enter through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Now, the deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body is brought into the superior vena cava, whereas deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body is brought into the heart through inferior vena cava. Finally, the deoxygenated blood is poured into the right atria. From the right atria, the deoxygenated blood enters the right ventricles. From the right ventricles, it enters a pulmonary artery. Now, this deoxygenated blood has to be taken to the lungs for oxygenation purpose. So, through pulmonary artery, it is taken to the lungs for oxygenation. Now, class, remember, pulmonary means something to do with the lungs. It is associated with the lungs. So, here it is taken to the lungs for oxygenation and then brought back into the left atria by means of pulmonary veins. From pulmonary veins, it enters the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, it is taken to aorta. From the aorta, it is taken to the various body parts. The oxygenated blood. Remember, the blood that is entering the pulmonary vein is oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood then enters left atria, left ventricle, finally the aorta. Now, aorta is the one that supplies the blood to the entire body. This is with respect to the circulation of the heart. Apart from that, we find the presence of valves. Now, valves are nothing but flap-like structure that prevent the backflow of the blood. Now, between the right atria and the right ventricle, you see the presence of tricuspid valve. Whereas between left atria and left ventricle, you find the presence of bicuspid valve. Now, even the pulmonary artery and aorta has got the presence of valve, and these are known as semilunar valves. Now, what is the function of these valves? They prevent the backflow of the blood. To prevent the mixing of the blood between the two atria, we have interatrial septum. In between the two chambers, you have a septum or partition. It is known as interatrial septum if it is found between two atria. Now, in between the two ventricles, the septum is known as interventricular septum.